Hi everyone, this is Sean. Welcome back to the channel. This is another episode for me to guide you through how to build an app end-to-end. And the previous episode was about how to launch an application on an actual Vercel terminal for you to deploy the app. And today I wanted to show you how you can connect it to a Supabase, which is a SQL-based database that will be very helpful to collect your user data and understand their user engagement. So I'll try to keep this as succinct as the last time, but if you haven't seen it, the previous episode, please go back and watch it first, because this is a continuation of that. And do not worry if you don't have a computer science background. I myself came from a data science background with more of my training in statistics and less on full stack development, and I converted myself into a full stack founder where I do a bit of everything. So I wanted to share my knowledge with the community and with the YouTube internet. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Today, the problem statement is that a lot of people don't know how to initiate a database and connect it to their already launched application, and that's what we're going to show you, right? So in order to connect to a SQL database, for those of you, I probably already mentioned, for those of you who don't understand what is a SQL, think about it as like an Excel sheet where there's rows and columns, like a structured rectangle shaped data. That's called a database where you can use queries called SQL to fetch information from it. And another one is called NoSQL. I'll just type it right here for now. NoSQL is something that that takes data records from a JSON format. I'm happy to make another video about it, but for today we're just going to stick with the Excel sheet styled databases. And for Supabase, is one of the Y Combinator company. There is a open source tool called Postgres. Right? For those of you who are familiar with data, you might understand a bit better about Postgres, but that's not important, to be honest, for today. And let's just look at the product requirements, right? So first thing is that you're going to initiate a SQL data table with Supabase. Second thing is going to connect it to your launched web application with Supabase. And third thing is that you're going to need to allow your users to write, query, and update the database with SQL. Right? And last but not least, it needs to be a modern-friendly, mobile-friendly, modern-looking, simplistic design. And the tools we're using today is very similar to the previous episodes. Supabase, Vercel, which is where we're going to launch the app and deploy the app. Github is where we store the code. And Cursor is the tool we're using for coding. So yeah, let's jump right into it. I actually already prompted it real quick, but I'll show you how I did that. So basically, you're going to open Cursor. Again, go back to the previous basics video to understand a bit about how we started all of these. But basically, all we got to do is go to, if you already launched this yourself, right, you can do that, or you can also use my link, LaunchAnApp. And this is the previous app. I haven't touched it since the last video. All you got to do is click on over here, code, and just copy this HTTPS. Go back to your cursor and paste it here, right? And say, how do I clone this as a new Git repo, and then I want to build on top of it. And I want to also change the name of the newly cloned project, because what I want to do is that I don't want to change anything here. I want to make a new GitHub repo, but I want to copy everything from that because I don't want to redo everything again, right? So here, let's see. You already gave me some instructions. So I moved back to my folder where I had all the YouTube Sean Stories dev projects, where LaunchAnApp is the previous version. And what I want to do is that I want to clone the LaunchAnApp from my GitHub again and give it another project name, right? So let's just try that. Copy, Command V, and the name I'm going to give it is, let's have a good name, SupabaseHero. Okay, cool, let's do that. SupabaseHero, hit enter, look at this, it's already here, and let's go into the project, CD, Supabase, just use tab, there we go, and let's see, yeah, the project's still here, but let's try to run it, right? So let's say npm run dev, hit enter. Okay, command not found. So I think we haven't got the packages downloaded. Look at this. Need to download the packages, but let's just follow the instructions over here. So the third step is to remove the existing Git history. Why? Because I cloned the same thing from GitHub, and if I change anything and commit it, I'm going to change the original repo. So what I got to do is that I need to remove the Git. Let's see. Let's do Git status. You see, like, it's still connected with the previous Git. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this, say remove -rf.git, and do git status. It's gone. Look at this. None of this existed. This red means that all of these files were not added to my GitHub, right? So instead now let's do git init, which means that we're gonna start this whole thing again and do git status. Still like this, but now it's like within this folder for all of this files over here, right? So let's see. Update the project name and details in package.json. So open package.json. Let's do that. Package.json, and yeah, we need to replace this name with our new name. Command C, Command F. There's only one of them, and I'm gonna call it Supabase-Hero. Hit replace. Hit save. Okay, save is Command S. Last but not least, let's install all the packages. npm install. Depends on the internet speed. By the way, if you're a beginner in full stack development, don't feel worried at all. We are going to use Cursor and AI a lot to understand all the concepts. And because I'm not from a, I did not study computer science in my degree, so I'm gonna have a lot of questions as well. So I'm gonna prompt the way through, and you can follow and understand what's going on, right? So the seventh step is that before we do that, let's run this app. npm run dev. Look at this. Now I think it's running. Okay, so we got a local host running already, just like the previous video. Do command and click. Sorry, my other monitor. Look at this. Hello, this is Sean. It's right here. Okay, so everything's good. So since I already run this as a local host, let me just double tap and split the terminal so that we can continue to work over here. Let's do clear. And the next step is I want to save this project to GitHub again, because we're gonna build on top of it and have a lot of database related things there. So let's do git add everything and git commit, initial commit, right? So now we need to create a GitHub repo for this SupabaseHero folder. So let's do that. Go back to your main page. Where is starting a new page? Let's see, repository. Okay, hit new, and the new thing is called Supabase-Hero. Okay, public. So yeah, got everything here. Create repository. Cool. And then now that we got this, by the way, I believe this command is the same as the command over here, right? So let's just copy that, because this is a push an existing repository from the command line. This already exists, so let's do this. Paste it here. Cool. Go back here. Let me just switch the order. Remove this. All right. If we refresh the GitHub, look at this. Everything's here. But now it's called SupabaseHero, right? Don't make a mistake on that. And what we're gonna do now is also, just like previously, let's deploy to Vercel. Add new project, right? You see SupabaseHero is here. Import. Let's launch it, deploy. Let's launch it first before we do anything else. Feel free to skip this process and jump right into the database configurations, because I think all of these are just preparation work. And in the future, for the basic series, I probably won't go into this many details anymore. But yeah, hopefully this is still helpful. And while we're still building it, there are some people, some audience who gave me really good feedback there. They say that some of you are really interested in like me doing these long hours videos, showing you how to build an application end to end for a few hours. I think in the future, my plan really is to leverage a lot of these built-in templates to start with, so that we don't have to build everything from scratch. And you guys in the future can come back to these basics tutorials to understand how to set it up. But yeah, I actually have a lot of ideas in my mind. I'm gonna try to build some AI applications and do something that's more interactive, and perhaps build some projects that's helpful and useful for you guys. So yeah, let's see. Continue to the dashboard. SupabaseHero is launched. The domain is here. Let's click on it. There we go. This app is launched. So let's jump right into Supabase. Firstly, let me direct myself to just SupabaseHero folder. Text on story, SupabaseHero, open it. Okay, so that there's no more distractions on the side. Let's turn on the terminal, hide the ports, split it up, do npm run dev. Okay, localhost is ready. Cool. So let's see what we can do right now. Let's firstly open Supabase. This is where we're gonna land, right? I already logged in with my GitHub, but you can, go ahead and log in with the GitHub. I think there are some integrations with them that will make it easier. What you can do is probably start your project, but in my case, I'll just click on dashboard. And normally, if you start, you're gonna land on this page. This is your console basically, and you can do new project, right? And you can add, project name and choose a region and stuff, right? Since I already have one, I'll just continue to use this. It's called Sean Stories. Why? Because for the free tier of Supabase, you only can have 2 free projects. So let's just start with the existing one, right? And if I go to, by the way, here is your home. And if you scroll down, which I won't do that, you're gonna see your keys and all the, the API keys that will allow your applications to talk to Supabase. So if you click on table editor, I can still see my previous tables over here, right, from the previous videos. I'll probably just continue to use this, right? I'll probably create a new table. Let's do that. Create a new table. And I think the best practice is probably create a new project for each project. Sorry, create a new Supabase project for each application project you're gonna have, right? But in my case, because I'm showing you guys how to do this, I'll just do it within the same project, right? So the name, I'm gonna call it SupabaseHero, right? And so let's see what it is, right? So here's you can add a description. So this is a template DB for SupabaseHero project. And this is an enable row level security, right? Well, I believe it's something related to SQL databases. To be honest, I'm not sure entirely. But yeah, it's basically to ensure that your database is safe. The second thing is called enable real time. So imagine when you're on Instagram, right? Or when you're on Facebook or YouTube, sometimes you see these likes button count is increasing real time, even if you're not refreshing the page. That's because the entire app is listening to the database, right? I don't think Facebook is using Supabase, but they're probably using some other cloud. It's the same logic. If you enable this, your app is going to listen to your application real time. Okay. Cool. So you see, by default, you're going to have 2 columns. One of them is called ID. Well, I can totally change it to something else. We can call it SupabaseHero ID or something. Because when you have multiple tables, every table going to have an ID. Well, it depends on the personal preference. Some people like to have ID just be left as ID. Sometimes for me, I like to call it a different ID, right? So created as when each row is created, it's a timestamp, right? But for the first row is called a primary key, where when you want to join 2 tables, you might want to have one key to represent the same, say for example, users. I'll give you a quick example, right? So at Facebook or YouTube, probably they have one table saying users, right? You're gonna have every row is like a user with a unique Gmail over there, and they have a unique ID over there, and that's their primary key. And you might have another table which counts every time when a user click into a video, you count +1, right? Every row is like a view of each user. And now if you want to count how many users have, let's say in the user base you have Gmail, but in your in your view table you don't have Gmail. So if you want to count how many Gmail users have got the top 10 views across the year, you're going to want to join these 2 tables. And how do you join these 2 tables? You're going to have this primary key to recognize which one is user A, which one is user B, right? So this is very important. So let's say today let's do something simple, right? Let's add a column over here. Let's call it what should I call it? Let's call it let's call it number input. All right, let's just do a quick number input over here. All right, and you see, my point is that I want to show you that there are different types of each column. You can choose if it's an integer, a float, which means they're decimals, or text, calendar, timestamp, all these kind of things. I'm going to say it's an integer, and it's allowed to be null, meaning that it's allowed to be empty. All right, and let's just hit save. You see, create a new table with 3 columns. Cool, congratulations, you've got a table right now. How do we connect it to our app? So let's do this. So firstly, let's go back to the code, and let's tell the code that, let's do Command L. We are going to connect this app to Supabase. Help me set up the entire Supabase code with Typescript, NextJS. I will copy in the keys later, so keep them as placeholders. Okay. The goal is that we have a table named Supabase-Hero in our Supabase already, with 3 columns. ID. Wait, hold on. We didn't call it ID. We called it Supabase. Okay, guys, over here, click on this and say edit table. You see, you're gonna see everything over here, and open it one more time. So this is SupabaseHero ID. Second one is called created at, and the third one is called number input. Okay. Why are we telling AI this? Because AI later need to write the code and make sure that they're referring to the right columns. Okay. And for our app.page.tsx, for app/page.tsx, if you remember, this is like the page where you're gonna do all the changes for your front end. And for this, let users input a number, right? And when they click on submit, they will see a list of all the number. They will see the entire. They will see the entire table of Supabase Hero displayed right below it, and it should be real-time updating. Okay, and let's do Command Enter, because if you do Command Enter, it's going to search and check the entire code base over here, and that is why we changed the folder to remove all the other distractions. We want to get into just this folder, so that when we do Command Enter, it doesn't search other folders, right? Cool. Let's just follow the steps, right? The first thing is that let's install the required dependencies. Let's do that. Install. And make it a little bit smaller. Cool. Let's create new types for our database schema. So this is another thing about TypeScript. When I was a Python coder, or when I was doing R, there's not much emphasis on types. But here, why is it important? Because it's going to be very risky or insecure if you do not define each column clearly what type it is. For example, a number could be a string, right? So you want to tell the code, tell the project very clearly that this is a number. And I can see that this is wrong, right? Created as not a string. Supabase Hero ID is not a number. They are of different types. Firstly, this should be a universal identifier, universally something identify ID, right? This is UUID, and every time when you add a new row, it's going to be randomly generated because, and also they will be unique, right? Because you want every row to be a unique user, so you want the ID to be unique. So this is why this is a UUID, and timestamp is just for created at an integer. So we should tell it, right? We tell it. You can reply over here with, let me see. Yeah, okay. So our types are wrong. Supabase hero ID should be a UUID. Created at is a timestamp, and number input is a number. Integer is an integer. Command enter. Okay. Cool. So UUID is going to be string, timestamp is going to be date, number is going to be number. I think it's a little bit unsafe. So let me actually, instead of number, let me just do numeric. Right? This is better, because for numeric it doesn't really restrict it to be just integer. Okay, so now here's a problem. Fail to update a column superhero ID. Fail to update pg.columns with a given ID. Cannot cast type big int into UUID. Right? So there's something wrong. Why? Because we kind of already updated that. This is a number, and now we're saying, hey, here must be a uniquely identifiable ID. So that's not gonna work. So let's refresh it and see how we can solve this problem. Let's say edit table. Okay. So what if I say it's unique and UUID? Let me try to save it one more time. Okay, failed. Perhaps we need to. Okay, guys, let me show you something really cool. I think right now, instead of doing all of these manually, what you can do is you can go to their SQL editor over here, right? And then what you can do is like you can say, click over here. They have an AI. So help me convert the column types for Supabase-Hero table to Supabase Hero ID, UUID, created at to timestamp, and last but not least, number input to numeric. Help me write the SQL. Okay. So what we're doing here is that we're doing the same thing by like manually changing everything, but you can just do it with command lines. So let's copy this code and paste it here, right? And we can hide it. Why are you still here? Come on. Let me just do command enter. Okay. Identity column type must be small int, integer, or byte. Okay, interesting. Let's debug it. There's no existing schema information available for public schema. However, it can help you debug a SQL snippet. Okay. Example table. Okay, I think something is wrong here. Instead, let me do the following. Okay. Let me go back here, and instead, I'm just going to delete this. Drop table with cascade, delete. I'm going to create a new table, but this time I'll be more careful about the types. Supabase Hero, Supabase-Hero, right? This is how we named it. Yeah. Supabase type hero. Hold on. Yep, there you go. Type hero, and then we want to enable real time. And for the ID, I want it to be a universally identifiable ID. And for create as a timestamp, and I'm gonna call it Supabase_hero_ID. Add column, number input, and remember we wanted to use numeric. All right, and hit save. All tables elements must be unique. Interesting. Still some kind of errors here. But let's see this time. All right, edit table. Okay, this is good. UUID, timestamp, numeric. So we got the right types. Now let's go back here. Okay, and what we're gonna do is remove all this. Okay, so we need a type. Okay, so firstly we need to create this file called supabase.ts. Let's do that. Apply. Instead, we should do the the updated version with the right types. Okay, type string and number. Cool. Let's do that. Types slash. So yeah, we're gonna have a new types with supabase.ts. I don't like the fact that we're nesting too many things. I'm just gonna pull it outside, right? Pull it right here. I'm gonna delete this folder of types. I don't like that. So for instead of calling it Supabase, I'm gonna call it just types.ts. Okay. Types.ts has one type called SupabaseHero, with the ID, created, add, number, input, all of these kind of things, right? And the next step is create a Supabase client utility, right? Because you see like this hallucinating. I don't want 2 files in different folders called the same name. And for this, I actually do want the utils. So let's do that. Okay. So remember previously we say that we're gonna keep the keys as a placeholder for now, right? But yeah, this is why we got this file. And now let's update the main page with the correct types. So let's go back to the page, click on it, right? And let's just use it. Hit apply. Hit enter. Something's wrong here because we moved the supabase.ts. Instead of calling it supabase.ts, we just called it types. Right? So you see, like now the error is gone. Hit save. Okay. Let's see. Let's check the file. Okay, cool. So now you see we got an error. This is real-time updating, by the way. Now you see we got an error. Why we got an error? Because we have not put the keys here yet, right? This is empty. So we're gonna need to put the keys of Supabase here. This is where I'm gonna edit the video a little bit and hide my keys. Okay. So in my environment.local file, which I don't have it yet, let me just click on apply, click, do command enter, command save. Okay. So let's check this one more time. Okay. So failed to construct URL. Why? Because I believe this is still the same error. Type error, failed to construct. It's an invalid URL. So we need to put the keys here, right? It's basically saying that this URL is invalid because it's not really a URL. So let's go back to the Supabase. Okay, remember it's at the home page. If you need to go over here, and so now is the time to I need to hide my code a little bit. So actually, let me just do it in another monitor instead of over here, so that I save myself some time for editing. And I will copy. Yeah, if you go scroll all the way down, you're gonna see it called yeah, you're gonna see something called project API and project URL API key. Let's just copy that and go back to here. I'm gonna hide it like this. Okay. This is the URL. All right, you can see that anyways. So okay, anyways, let me actually just do it. Let me pull it back. All right. If you scroll down over here, it's right here, project URL and API keys. And I'm gonna hide over here, right? And then with your API keys, just copy this and go back. Right? And then replace this anon key with your actual key, hit save, and hide it. Okay? And I'm gonna close this. Cool. So let's check this. Okay, look at this. Now it's working. Let's see, double tap, inspect. Let's see, console. All right, because when you get error, you're gonna see it in the console. So let's see a real time. Okay. SupabaseHero. Okay. And I'm gonna pull it out and move it here so that we can see it real time. Updating. All right. I think this is cool. Let's do this. Cool. So the first number I'm gonna put is probably 14.56. Okay. Looks like this is only allowing integer, but that's fine. Hit submit. Okay, got the first error. refresh this table. It's not here. Why do we get an error? Because, let's see. That's why we turn on this terminal. Sorry, we turn on this console over here. Also, we can click on this error, right? There's something wrong. Error inserting numbers. So what this means is that we haven't really added any policy to allow anybody to write into the Supabase. Right? Imagine, like, I don't know, if somebody suddenly hacked into Facebook and you can just write into Facebook's database, or you can change YouTube data, you can change somebody's likes or comments. That's not good, right? So you need to make sure that you have permission for entering your database. So that's why we're getting this error. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pretend that we don't know why this error happened, okay? And instead, let me just copy the error over here, okay? Let me copy the error over here. And let's just ask AI, okay? Let's say, I've got this error. Help me figure it out step by step on Supabase. Yeah, it's because of the row level security. Like, remember we were talking about the security when we were creating the table, and I say that I don't understand everything. But you know, technically, what is it about? It's that you need to set up some policies for allowing people to use the table, to write the tables. Okay. So what we're really gonna do here is just we're gonna create this new policy called enable read access and enable insert access. Right. So let's just copy this. Go back to your Supabase. Make this a little bit bigger. Go back to your SQL editor. Automatically, you're going to get a new query, I think. Otherwise, you can just do somewhere. You can, click here, create a new snippet, right? And then paste it here. Command Enter to run it. Now it's successful. Go back to the table. SupabaseHero. Let's see. You should be able to get some policies now. Yeah, you see, like, now it says auth policy. There are two of them. Click on it. You see, we've got enable insert and enable read access. Okay. Let's go back to the table editor. Click on SupabaseHero. And let's try this again. Refresh. Make this a little bit smaller. Okay, let's try this again real time. All right. I want to add a number of, let's say, 888. It's a lucky number in Chinese. Hit submit. What's going on? Let's refresh this page. Okay, it's here, but it's not updating real time. But if we refresh this, you see, we need to manually fetch this data. So how do we do that? We gotta turn on this real time, right? Enable real time. Now it's enabled. Okay, and let's just do 58. Submit. You see, now it's real time updating. If you go back here, Supabase itself is not real time. You need to refresh it. Okay, cool. And I just need to do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Submit. Cool, guys. This is basically what it is, right? So now we're fetching this entire table, but instead, what we can do is let's imagine, you know, instead of this number being a random number, it's actually perhaps the total likes or total comments on YouTube or Instagram. And if somebody hit a like and the database got updated real time, you're going to use this number and then just display it right under Instagram to show the likes, right? So it's very simple. This is how it works, basically. And I believe this is the basics of how to set up Supabase and you know, get things to work. And there are a lot of you know, things that we can do to get it working in more complicated situations. And the last step for me to show you is how do we launch it on the final URL, right? So let's go back to Vercel. Go back to Superhero project. What you got to do is you need to add this thing called environment variable. Let's go to settings over here, okay, and go to environment variables over here. So all you got to do is go back to your code, turn on .env.Local, do Command A, Command C, and come over here, do Command V to paste all of these, and hit save. Okay, so now you've got the environment variables also set up on your actual project. Let's go back to deployment, and what we're gonna do is we need to come to gitignore. Okay, firstly I need to do Command L help me update the .gitignore to make sure we are not uploading sensitive info like keys. Command enter so that it reads the context. Let's just make sure we're not, submitting the keys to the internet. Because imagine if you guys see my keys, you can use my key, right? And you technically don't need to pay. If it's overflow, it's gonna charge me. Cool. Let me just hit apply, right? I don't know what this is, to be honest, but yeah, you see, like, it ignored the .env.local. Command S. It's probably an overkill over here. Too many stuff, but yeah, let's do git status. Okay, you got all of these kind of things changed. Git add, git commit -m, updated with Supabase Setup, and do git push. And remember, in the previous video, if you already connected your GitHub to Vercel, after you do commit, the deployment is going to happen automatically, right? So now it's already happening. Let's click into it. And because now we have got the environment variable set up for all of these already, so this website, technically after it's launched, it will also know how to read and write into your Supabase. Okay? Normally it takes like 45 seconds. Let's see. And while we're waiting, as you probably see, like we're using a database. We're doing a front end. There's no backend in this project. Some people say that Supabase is already a good alternative for backend because if you go back to here, let me show you real quick. If you go back to here, you see there's like authentication. You can basically allow people to log in using their API. You can store some images. You can do some edge functions, and you also have some integrations for other applications. You see, like there's got GraphQL, Airtable, Calendly wrapper, all these kind of things. So it's already very helpful for you to use Supabase as a backend as a service. But in the future, I'm going to show you how to have your own backend. And I'm more familiar with launching a backend using Python because Python is the language for artificial intelligence, for Gen AI. So it's much easier for me to launch an AI agent using a Python backend, right? But that will be happening in the future videos. Cool. So now this app is launched. If I click onto the link, supabase-hero.vercel.app, it says no more hello.sean anymore. Right? If we go back to the project and let's switch to project and switch to LaunchAnApp Vercel, it's still hello, this is Sean. And remember, we cloned all of this from here to here, right? So now it's like a real-time thingy, by the way. This is like a URL link. Let's go to incognito and make sure it works. Okay, let's make this bigger. Cool. So now you see like it's still real-time being fetched. So let's just say 77777 submit. Okay, it's a number, so I actually ignored all this 0 in front of it. Or I can just do this. Okay, cool. This is done. I hope this is helpful. And I know this video is a little bit long, but because I did a lot of explanations, this is one of the basics for using a data table with Supabase. And in the future, in the longer, long hours of videos, I'm gonna make sure that I will do some more fancy stuff, right? And you can imagine things like, for some of the things we need to use SQL, but for some other things we need to use NoSQL. So I'll show you how to use Firebase or MongoDB or something else, right? And how do you, connect database with, some other backend? Because we talked about using Python backend, we might need to use Python, and we need to launch the Python backend somewhere else. I don't think Vercel is a good place to launch Python backend. Previously, I was launching it just on Google Cloud or AWS, right? And Supabase sometimes has some storage restrictions. Perhaps you can find a better deals with AWS or Google Cloud, so we can show you how to do that as well. But yeah, this is basically how you set up a database from scratch, and all you're left over to do, by the way, is that it's just your imagination, right? This is literally what we did with this front page, and you're more than welcome to just use something like V0 I think it's called V0 to V0, right? You can launch, you can build a quick app over here, like show me a dashboard that shows pseudo data of a growth trend of a stock, right? And then it's gonna write the code for you, and then you can copy their code and paste it here, and then continue to iterate with it, right? So yeah, let me just wait for this to finish. And you can also connect to your Figma, right? This is very convenient these days, right? So you got this code from V0, and V0 is going to show you, preview it for you in a bit. Let's see how it works, right? Let's actually make a router over here. Let's say I'm going to create a new thing called stock trend. Okay, within the stock trend, I'm going to say another page.tsx. And what I'm going to do is I will perhaps copy this code when it's finished. Okay. Hey, look at this. This is beautiful. Well, actually, this is ugly. But yeah. Anyways, let's see the code, right? Let's see the code. Wait. CSS. Okay, this is too much. All right, guys, this is not related to our so the rest of it is not related. So yeah, let's just end it right here. Right, this is how we set up database, and I hope this is helpful. And in the future, I'm going to show you more about how to build AI applications end to end, because for me as a founder, I'm also building a lot of AI applications, and these kind of videos is a great way for me to document how I do things. Right, it doesn't take a lot of effort for me. It's just like start a new project and share what I've been doing in the past few days, and also a good reflection session for me. So if you feel like there's something you want to learn, or you feel like it's very common for people to use in startups these days, let me know. I'm happy to learn it and show you how to do it. And at the same time, I'm also thinking about building some SaaS tools or B2C tools that will be helpful for this community. And if you have anything that strictly that directly relate to your work, relate to your personal need, let me know. I'm happy to create like a application for all of us to make our lives easier. All right, peace. Thank you very much.